Hey, good morning, everybody from Texas. We're about to do a road trip over this holiday weekend. I got to get the camper back up to Colorado. It needs to go back to Sasquatch headquarters for a little bit of maintenance and a once-over. But we're not going to take the Jeep this time. We're not taking the Lexus. Dodge actually came through in the clutch. They're bringing us something new today, and you're going to want to check that out. So let's roll the intro and then get right into it. All right, here we go. I've got a special guest on this road trip.
Hello.
Oh, she's got an awkward wave. We're starting this trip off right. So we are in a 2025 Dodge Durango RT 20th Anniversary Premium Edition. This thing's pretty much got everything.
That's nice.
It is nice.
Yeah.
We're gonna pull out of the driveway. We are about 700 miles from tonight's stop. Long way. Where are we headed?
Santa Fe. We're gonna camp.
We're gonna camp, not really camp.
It's KOA. Is that camping?
We're pulling over to the KOA to get a good night's sleep and then hit the ground the next morning. So
True.
Right off the interstate.
Yep.
But we got a long ways to go, but we got a lot to talk about, and we will do that. We're gonna get familiar with the car. It's really cool. It's loaded out with features. The trailer is hooked up.
Yep.
Made it a breeze. There's a couple of things in the tow and go package that are really cool that we'll go through as well. Things you don't get in the normal Dodge Durango, and we're gonna cover it all. So here we go. We're out. Okay guys, we're about 2.5 hours down the road. Thought we would check in. Linz is over here working. She's on the laptop getting some things done. I've had a few phone calls, but we're getting more familiar with the Durango, and I thought we would quickly do a gripe, and then we'll talk a little bit about the interior and our early impressions. So I'll start with a like. Okay. One thing that's kind of blown me away is the steering, and I think there's something going on in the towing package where we have what's called performance steering. The first hour on this trip, we had a dead crosswind, like 35, 40 miles an hour straight across the car and the trailer. I didn't realize that until I saw the dealership flags flying, because
I didn't realize it either.
Didn't even feel it. The steering has been dead straight despite pulling a trailer. Never felt a breeze come across the car, never pushed the car. It's like it wasn't even there. So that is really, really cool. And I know that there are some other manufacturers out there that do that. I didn't know Dodge did, and it works awesome. But we do have one gripe 2 hours into this drive.
Yeah, this thing is loud.
It's
like
really loud.
It's not purring, it's roaring.
It is, we've got a performance exhaust on this version of the car, and we have a 360 horsepower V8. It's reminding us this is the performance variant of the Durango. And I wish we had like a little button to kind of go into quiet mode.
Yeah.
And
I wish I had that button for a lot of things.
That's, hey, fair enough. Maybe our teenage daughter at home?
I don't know. I didn't
Like
say
a
that.
mute button?
You said that. I didn't say that.
Mute.
No.
It's comfortable.
It's very comfortable.
What do you think about the overall interior quality and materials?
Very nice. It's very nice. It's very American. When I first got in it, I was like, "Oh, this thing is gooey." Yeah, that's what I call American cars. They're gooey.
A lot of soft touch, kind of spongy materials around the dash.
Contrast stitching. Like the top is like all
suede.
Yeah, super nice. I like it. I like gooey.
There's a lot going on here. The one thing I probably don't like is the trim. It looks like it's this weird. Is it camo?
It's like,
I can't tell.
Maybe stone.
Maybe like almost
be stone.
Like a fake countertop stone.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. I'm not sure what they're trying to be.
You shouldn't have to guess.
Yeah, no. Guessing should not be required.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got this nice soft vinyl all the way around. It's kind of supposed to look like leather. It's got this gold contrast stitching. We've got the 345 stitched into the seats, and we've got suede inserts on the seats. And
the seats are really comfortable. Bolstered. Yeah, they're real nice.
They're so much more comfortable than the ones we had in the Charger. I just didn't really fit in them. They were too narrow. They were too bolstered. This is a nice I like these a lot better.
Yeah, that's nice.
Big sports steering wheel, leather cover, perforated leather. Yeah, I mean, so far it's a really nice place to be.
Yeah. Got a few more hours to go.
We have a long day ahead of us.
Yeah.
I think Buc-ee's in Amarillo is still almost 4 hours away, 3 hours away. So you'll have to hold it till then, babe.
No way. Not a chance.
Not gonna happen.
Not a chance.
So we are gonna continue down the road. When we do stop for gas, I'm gonna do a mile per gallon check-in. And then we will talk a little bit more about the towing package and all the different features that come with that make this a safer and more comfortable, convenient experience to tow with. And then at some point we'll talk about the technology. This is Uconnect 5. This is our first experience with Uconnect 5. So far, it's good.
Pretty good.
But I want to spend a couple more hours with it. I think you would too.
Sure.
Before we really talk too much about it. Okay, we'll be back later. Awkward way. Casey's going to be pissed.
Yay.
All right, we're going to call this the sunglasses portion of the episode because the sun's getting low. Right in our eyeballs. Heading across New Mexico. So we said we'd give you guys an update on fuel economy after lunch, 2 fuel stops, 4 work phone calls, and how many emails have you answered today?
I don't even know. So many.
All right. Well, fuel economy is somewhere between absolutely terrible and disgusting. It's been an interesting day. So, talked about crosswinds earlier. Our fuel economy dropped from about 15 miles per gallon to 13 in the first 2 hours. And then we turned straight west right into those headwinds, and it dropped somewhere into single-digit territory. All right, I think through our first fuel stop, we'd averaged 9.5. Okay, so that's the average, by the way. Now, past Amarillo, winds have come down, almost non-existent now. We are doing about 75 miles an hour across flat terrain, pulling this trailer, and right now we're doing about 14. That's not terrible, not that bad, all right, but much better conditions. Now look, that trailer back there, the Sasquatch, is very lightweight. It's less than 3,000 pounds fully loaded. So, you know, it's not like we're pulling 7,000, 8,000 pounds across New Mexico. So it is kind of a prick in the wind though, okay? Doesn't do us any favors from an aerodynamic standpoint, but all in all, I think we have to be happy now that, in particular now the winds have died down. So we're losing daylight. We're gonna go grab dinner here in about an hour. Then we're gonna head to camp, and we'll probably pick things back up in the morning. Maybe you'll get to see camp, we'll see. All right, guys, it is pre-dawn here outside of Santa Fe at the KOA. Absolutely excellent campground if you ever need a quick stop. I thought this morning I'd give you a quick walk around of all the tow and go features. Obviously, any towing package starts with the powertrain. You've got the 5.7 liter Hemi V8 up front in the RT package. And then you get things like auto leveling headlights up here on the front, which is really important when you've got a tow and maybe you're getting a little bit of sag in the rear of the vehicle. Up front, we've got 20-inch brass monkey wheels. Actually, a lot of the things that you get in the tow and go package come from the 392, the SRT package. So you're getting a heck of a lot of performance upgrades with the RT tow and go, okay? You do get the upgraded Brembo brakes. So we got 15-inch rotors up front, we got 13 in the back. So a ton of stopping power to slow this thing down when needed. You're also getting active dampening in the suspension in this version, which certainly helps, you know, kind of smooth out all the bumps and everything with your towing. The other thing, really nice feature that you get here is you do get your blind spot detection that extends all the way back the length of the camper. So as soon as somebody enters this territory right here, then you're going to get notified up there in your mirrors visually, which is also really nice to have. You do get your class 4 hitch in the back and all of your wiring, yada yada yada, normal stuff for towing. And then everything else really happens inside. You do get your integrated brake controller up here, okay, right there underneath the start stop button, and you have a dedicated tow button right here. Okay, so that's going to light up. Now what that will do, and it will as soon as you put it in drive, it's going to turn off the eco mode. Okay, so it is going to downshift quite aggressively. And then you also get some unique displays in the in the center stack over there. And then over here, if I can show you, let's go. Okay, like I was saying, you do have some dedicated trailer applications here. So if I go to trailer in the menu, then I can actually go in here and I can rename the trailer. I can control my lighting and electric. I can give it a name, and that way, you know, there is some auto detection going on with the system. It auto detects the length of the trailer and starts to calibrate the transmission and everything else for that particular trailer. So that's nice. You can keep them all separate if you switch out quite a bit. All right, other than that, we're hooked up and ready to roll out here on day 2. Take the Highland 60 back to Sasquatch HQ. It did amazing last night. It got down to low 20s. Measured 24 degrees right now this morning. But with a Propex heater and the propane, we were kept at a nice toasty 65 degrees throughout the night in a full-size queen bed in a teardrop style camper. It's pretty awesome. All right, here we go. Day 2. Did you sleep all right?
I mean, for camping, when it's 12 degrees outside.
It was pretty cold last night, but we were nice and toasty. We had the Propex heater, so we were okay, weren't we?
Yeah, I mean, all things considered.
All things considered.
We slept inside on a mattress with a heater.
Yep.
So, yeah, I can't
And we had a hot
complain.
shower this morning.
Yeah.
And breakfast.
Yeah.
We're good to go.
Yeah, good to go.
And now we're rolling through the Santa Fe National Forest. We're taking the scenic route up to the Four Corners area.
Yeah, lots of twists and
Mexico.
turns.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. We're up in the pine trees. We got a little snow on the ground. We're seeing canyons, red rocks. It's why we did this drive.
Right.
But we do owe everybody a discussion on infotainment. We promised that yesterday on day 1. And it's a little bit of new school and old school, and you very quickly gravitated to the old school aspect.
Yeah.
Which is what?
Buttons.
Lots of buttons.
All buttons.
How many buttons do we have?
21?
26 buttons.
26 buttons.
Down here underneath the 10-inch Uconnect 5 screen. So, and 3 dials. We've got volume control and fan and tune.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why? We're big fans of buttons.
Yeah.
Okay?
We're old. We like buttons.
You know what? It turns out most people like buttons because they're making a comeback.
Good.
And the Durango has them in spades.
Good.
But why is it important?
Because you don't want to have to go to your screen and exit out of your navigation to turn up the AC or turn on the fan or change the radio or whatever else you need to do because you're trying to navigate somewhere.
Yeah, or you reach up to hit those things and you're trying to, let's say, a modern infotainment system has a climate control adjustment, but you reach up there and you hit the wrong thing.
Right.
And now all of a sudden you're out of your navigation, you're out of your music, whatever it was. And it is nice to just have stuff that's instantly familiar and easy to get used to where that placement is. Yeah, this does it right. Maybe a little bit of overkill in the modern world, but we've got heated seats, cooled seats, heated steering wheel buttons, temperature up and down. We even have our drive modes down here with some toggles, which is nice to have.
Yeah.
You know, because you're not going to use those very often.
We have a mute button, which is rare.
And then we probably have my favorite button.
Brian's favorite button in any car.
Screen off.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's not on the screen.
It's not on the screen.
Yeah.
No, I could just reach over here and turn everything off at night if I really need to be able to see and cut out all the glare. Now, it's interesting because this is Uconnect 5. And Uconnect 4 is what we have in the Jeep. And I asked you, do you like that system? And you kind of, you said no.
Well, that's because it's user error. I don't really know how to use it very well because I can't figure out how to connect my phone to it.
Okay, well, it's called a USB cable and you just plug it in and it works. Okay, we'll get there.
Okay.
That's all right.
You complicate things.
Maybe
Jeep.
I did,
You
but
complicate things. I like simple things.
But you just use the radio. You can use the nav if you want, and it's pretty easy to use, right? So that's an 8.4-inch screen across most of the Dodge, Jeep, Ram lineup. This is 10 inches, higher resolution.
Yeah.
It's brighter. It's more colorful. It's kind of
nice.
it's just what Uconnect 4 was, just better. Same general design philosophy. So we have the major buttons on the screen at the bottom. Right. You got a bottom row that never changes. And then everything else is, left to the rest of the real estate. it's very easy to find what you want. The most important aspect, though, is it runs Android Auto and Apple CarPlay.
Yep.
Wirelessly.
Yes, that's a very nice feature.
And we've been bouncing back and forth between both of our phones on the trip, and that does work. Although I think you got annoyed yesterday because it kept asking you to switch.
Right. If I plugged my phone in with a cord, it would ask me to switch to my phone.
Multiple times.
Multiple times. So that was annoying, but...
Technicality.
Yeah.
So overall, very simple to use. One of the easiest infotainment systems to use in the industry. And again, we just like the blend of old and new. I do have a center stack. Again, very simple. It's a mix of analog gauges for tach, for oil temperature, fuel level. And then I do have a digital display in the middle that shows me different versions of speed depending on which view you want. And I already mentioned this earlier, but I have kind of a table of contents.
In half a mile, turn right onto US 550 North.
About to make our turn. Half a mile, there it is, I can see it. But we have a table of contents over on the left, so I know as I scroll up and down what's coming next. And they even have a little additional space on the right, digitally, for temperature and drive. So, all in all, really like this. It's simple.
2 thumbs up from me.
Simple is good. All right, I'm gonna do a quick demo of the lane keep assist on the Dodge Durango. This is not hands-free. This is not lane centering. This is just lane keep assist, okay? And what that means is it's a perfect stretch of highway for it. So if I start to drift over here a little bit, and I'll let it do that, okay? It stays right on that line, okay? It holds right on the center line, okay? It's not gonna let me cross over, but it's also not ping-ponging me back to the right, okay? Like a lot of first gen or just basic systems do. So, and even if I start to, let's say I kind of over here on the right side, yeah, it just nudges right back, okay? Kind of just wants to hug it, okay? Not ping-pong you, and that's really important. Now, the one thing I don't like is there is no alert. Okay, so I'm not getting an audible alert that I'm drifting. I'm not getting a vibration in my seat or anything like that. All I get is down there in the instrument cluster, if you can see it in the lower left, is the lane assist icon will turn from green to yellow, right? Well, that's not really gonna help you if you're starting to nod off or go to sleep when you're out on a road trip. So I would like to have some sort of alert, and I don't have one. But the system does work. Its intended function, which is to keep you in your lane. So thumbs up for that. All right, everybody, I am going to check back in, and I'm going to let Lynn sit over there and recover from all of the crazy driving I've been doing for the last 2 hours. We dropped off the trailer this morning. We got to see Sasquatch headquarters, which was awesome. Got to see their new facility, everything that they have in store. Big things ahead for those guys. You know, future episode, we'll probably do a deep dive into what they're doing. But the most important thing was we dropped off the trailer. And that's like tossing a 40-pound rucksack off your back, okay? And off you go. You're doing sprints now. And we retraced our steps back through these canyons, through these mountain passes, these twisty roads, and this thing has just absolutely ripped. It's been awesome. And, the reality is we don't even have the most powerful version of the Durango. We're in the RT with the 5.7 liter being 360 horsepower, 390 pound-feet of torque. There is certainly an SRT with a 6.4 liter, okay? So 475 horsepower and torque. And then not that long ago, you could get a Hellcat Demon with over 700 horsepower. Obscene. But this is plenty. This is great. And in the RT, you get all of those suspension bits and the steering package and the better brakes and a lot of the things that you would only get in those higher trims. And it's just fun. It's been an absolute blast to drive. I mean, this is a 3-row SUV that's 20 years old. And it's engineering. And I'm still having a lot of fun. And I could see why people would really enjoy having this. It can do the work. I probably didn't give it enough credit towing, until the trailer was actually gone. Those things that it was doing really well, it was very stable on the road. The steering, took out all of the wind shear and everything else, and like I said, just, really evened out the ride. Once you take all that away and you're just in normal modes, it dances around all over the place, but in a good way. So it can do the work and it can do the play, and it's just a lot of fun. And, this is probably our last driving segment of the review. We'll probably do a wrap up when we get back home and maybe play around with the configurator and figure out, is there a better version of the Durango that I would want to have on a daily basis? There probably is, but we'll figure that out. We'll see you back in Texas. Okay, we're back in the studio. I'm back from New Mexico, and I had a lot of opportunity to drive the car and experience it in about 2 days. And then I had to turn it over to you for the week. And you almost died.
I almost died. I got to spend a day and a half in the car, and then I came down with a nasty flu or something. I don't know. The perils of having small children in the house. But it knocked me out for several days. Still don't feel great. But I did spend, enough time in the car, I think, to have some thoughts on it. So.
You did, and you texted me, and we were exchanging some thoughts on the car, and your response was time capsule.
It is a bit of a time capsule. Well, and let's be real, the platform first came out in 2011, I think.
Well, we're at the 20th anniversary, so...
this generation.
Well, I guess so. I guess that's true. They did do an update. You're right. Around that time frame, they switched from body on frame to unibody, because the current one is unibody.
Yep.
But besides that, not a lot of updates, and the car you're getting today feels very familiar.
Yeah, because they've been making it a long time. Now, it shares a platform with the Jeep Grand Cherokee, which is, without a doubt, a good thing. I like that car.
Yeah.
I've always liked the Grand Cherokee. Driving it around, I saw a lot of potential for the platform. I didn't love this particular trim, just because... We should talk about, I don't know how much you've talked about that already, but okay. So you have the 5.7 liter Hemi that you can get in the Rams. Awesome. Okay. You talk about it being a time capsule. That's not a thing anymore in 2025. And yet this thing still has it, right?
It does.
Like you get, so you get a naturally aspirated V8. That was really cool. I thought it paired really well with the transmission. Like, powertrain, I loved.
No complaints there.
None at all. I love the drivability.
Engine and transmission.
No complaints. None whatsoever. I thought it handled fine. Handled like a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Like, it was nice enough to drive around.
Now, you didn't get to drive it on twisty roads. I did in the mountains.
I did.
Oh, did you? Well,
yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
I did.
Thought, once you really pushed it, it handled well.
Yeah, you don't know. It's kind of a long story, but I actually did kind of accidentally end up on some back roads in Northwest Fort Worth.
Okay.
In the middle of the night, dodging deer on a twisty country road, and it really, I was actually really impressed with it. That surprised me to a certain extent. When I say I don't like this trim, I don't even know what they call this package, but it's got some kind of sport exhaust on it. And
it's a performance exhaust.
It's not for me. Now, frankly, I think most Dodge buyers are going to be real into that.
Yeah, I think you're going to love it.
I think you're going to love it because it is loud. It sounds amazing. It just sounds amazing all the time.
It does.
I'm like, come on. Like, I just want to go to Taco Casa without breaking some windows, So in one of our first driving clips that Linz and I did on our road trip, it was basically checking in with the audience and going, oh my God, this thing is loud all the time. All the time.
Now, we were towing. So we're towing all the way to New Mexico, and it was down in fifth gear all the time, popping down into 4. It was roaring.
Yeah.
Now, when we came back from Colorado and we're cruising across the interstate, and it's down to 4 cylinders, Very nice. Very nice.
Uh-huh.
It was quiet. It was smooth. No complaints. I mean, if we needed to pass, had so much power there to pass. It was great. But man, any other times I just got so worn out.
Oh, dude, yeah, and like even driving away from a stoplight, like the car, it always made. This is my complaint with any of these like loud exhaust stuff, right? Like it makes way more noise than it should for how fast it's not really
Well,
going.
that's kind of the point.
That is kind of the point.
Yeah.
Well, and to be honest,
Old
like,
man yells at
yeah,
clouds.
yeah. Look, that's look. 20 years ago, I'd have been way more into that, but not anymore. My kids loved it.
I bet they did.
They loved it so much. They're still talking about this car.
That's awesome.
And, you know, not for nothing, but it was actually a really good family car for the few days I had it. It was
Yeah.
really easy for them to get in and out of. It was surprisingly low to the ground for an SUV. It had captain's chairs. It's got a third row. It's got plenty of cargo space. You know, when you said what you were getting, I was like, oh my God, a Durango. I forgot about the Durango.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people have kind of forgotten about the Durango. I feel like Dodge has kind of, they don't know what to do with it. And that's kind of a shame because it was good. It was good. And you can get a V8, a really good all-wheel drive system.
You could get, for a while, you could get 3 different V8s in this thing. Now that's, all of that has started to shrink down. They actually I think they got rid of the Citadel.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. Well, so that was kind of
really nice.
the more premium trim. And my theory, I think this is a really good place to kind of transition into this. My theory is they were trying to limit the volume of this car. And I think this had everything to do with where they're trying to get to with CAFE standards and trying to offer up something in the fleet that appeals to folks who want the big burly sound and the V8s. But they didn't want to sell in volume anything that, you know, hurt them from a CAFE standpoint. And all I did was I walked away going, if all of that goes away, and by the way, it looks like it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Might take a little time. I think this platform is poised for a comeback.
Yeah. The whole time I was driving, I was thinking, I think this platform's right for the treatment, similar to like the design language of the new Daytona and everything. I think it would work really well with that. But to be honest, like you mentioned, the Citadel, I'm disappointed. I hope it comes back because look, this thing's got racing stripes and a giant hood and these giant things down here. The Citadel is actually a very just kind of nice, handsome SUV.
It looks good.
It's
It looks
just
really
clean
classy.
looking.
Yeah, it's clean.
So I think it would, you know, I would like to see it come back, but yeah, I understand.
But even with the Pentastar V6 in it, even in that trim,
Yeah.
it would be great. You know,
Yeah.
I will take a 5.7 in a premium version without a performance exhaust, right? A little bit more of a grown-up version, but with that kind of power. And I think you'll be able to just move these like crazy.
Yeah.
I really do think so. And I think you could make a couple of changes on the interior, but honestly, I'm not even sure you have to. I think if you put some decent seats, like really upscale modern seats in the car.
I did love the seats in this trim. We can come back to that, but
Well, they're a little too, I will tell you, after about hour 5,
okay.
not great.
Okay.
Initially, I liked them, and I liked them a lot better than the Charger RT that I had with the V8, the same V8. Those were sport racing buckets. I mean, they were not comfortable. The ones in the Durango were much more appealing and nice, but man, after about 4 or 5 hours, I don't know if it's kind of the suede is too firm in them and the inserts, whatever. I just felt like I could use a nicer seat in this car.
I can understand that. I mean, not that many cars are going to be that comfortable after 5 hours. I liked them after 45 minutes. So did my wife. That was like my favorite thing about that trim level because they were like sport buckets with the suede inserts.
You can't really see it. I'll show it on the camera.
Yeah, they had 354 embroidered in the headrest or whatever.
352.
352 because that's the displacement, I guess. And I'm pretty sure it's 354. You're thinking of 392.
I am.
Because that's
You're
the
right. I'm
6.4
sorry.
liter.
Sorry about that.
Don't do that when it comes to.
I
Come on,
shouldn't
you should
have.
know better by now.
I'm
Okay.
ashamed.
Yeah. I mean, you want to talk interior though. That's another area where it was kind of a time capsule, right?
throwback.
Like it's a throwback. But again, you're right. It doesn't need a lot. It just needs some tweaks.
Like okay, it looks like a throwback, and there's a ton of buttons. What's it missing?
Nothing.
It's not missing anything.
And functionally, it was great. And I've connected to other Uconnect vehicles in the past, and so because of that, like my Google account and everything just connected right up to it. I didn't have to touch anything, and it worked flawlessly the whole time. It had heated and cooled seats, a heated steering wheel, a really good remote start system that worked from a long way away with the factory fob.
And you know that because you can hear the car start like a mile away.
Yeah.
So you never had to doubt. Has paddle shifters, which I know is not a big thing for you, but I love it out on the freeway. Loved it.
And I like having the paddle shifters, like when towing. That comes in handy sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So I didn't really get a chance to use them. It had adaptive cruise, but it was a little bit weird because I don't know how well you can't see on here probably, but like there's a separate button to activate cruise control for
adaptive
when you want to
cruise,
use adaptive cruise than just the standard cruise, which is silly. And really, the fact that there's an on-off button for cruise control at all is silly. Like, all manufacturers should stop doing that.
They should. Dodge is not the only one.
No. Everybody does it, and it's dumb. But, yeah, and then so it took me a while to figure out, because there are these buttons that are controlling the follow distance.
Yes.
And I kept hitting them, and nothing was happening. And I realized it's because I have to turn it on separately.
Here's what I'm gonna caveat this, because on the road trip, there was multiple times with some snow and rain and mud on the highway where the sensors for the adaptive cruise got messed up and it would go away. You couldn't use adaptive cruise.
Right.
So it shut itself off, but you could fall back to a normal cruise control and you kind of knew what you were doing there. Again, that's more software than hardware. Like they could solve for that.
They could
potentially.
solve for it
if
a
it wasn't
way.
two different modules, and it's probably two different modules.
Right.
But
well, hey, I mean, I'll say this though, like my Lexus, same issue when there's heavy rain or whatever, adaptive cruise goes away, and on my car, that means cruise control goes away completely. So good on them for having it, a backup system, I guess. But other than that, like ergonomically, the shifter selector worked like a normal car, like from 2011 when shifters made sense. I could see the entire readout here.
Gauge cluster.
Yeah.
Was it
the
hidden?
Steering wheel.
Nothing was hidden.
No, that's another 2011 thing. In 2011, you could do that. In 2025, it's not allowed for some reason.
You hide things.
From every car manufacturer. Yeah. So I mean, it could use an aesthetic refresh, but other than that, I honestly think we're kind of to a point. Like people say this all the time. Nobody really makes a bad car anymore. Yeah. They really kind of don't. There are some bad powertrains out there, but these days most cars are fairly nice to drive. It might be noisier or something because they don't put as much sound insulation in it or whatever. But most cars they're pretty good. I think we've hit kind of. We're not going to get that much better at like handling and stuff. The new frontier is electric powertrains and improving cars in that respect.
It's software.
It's all software.
It's all software. I mean, and we have now both entered into the EV world, and software makes such a massive difference. And I think we could spend a lot of time in future episodes talking about that. We will. And in some ways, this was just like a warm, comfy blanket. Right. Because you're stepping back out of that world into just, hey, I've got all the basic things here. I'm not really missing anything. And it's very reliable, very comfortable, very easy to use. 26 buttons down here. 26.
Yeah, but I never hunted for anything.
No.
It all made sense.
Yeah, you could just look down there and go, pop, and after using it for a while, you just knew where everything was at. So, it was a nice car. 3-row SUV, right? A large one for a unibody, but not nearly as big as something like a Tahoe or a Yukon. Definitely much sportier than those. Yeah. I think, where else are you going to go to get something this size with a V8? I can't think of anything.
No, I couldn't either. I kept thinking about that the whole time I had it. I mean, you can get a Grand Cherokee with a V8, but you actually... Now, this trim is fairly expensive.
Well, you can't anymore.
Oh.
You can't get the V8s in the Grand Cherokees.
Okay. Well, and even then, when you could, you had to go pretty far up the trim levels to have access to it, and you really don't have to go that far up in trims with the Durango. So, I mean, this one was optioned out quite a bit, but you can get like an RT or whatever with the V8.
By the way, 19 miles per gallon coming back.
I did better than that while I had it.
Well,
but I wasn't on the freeway.
I was hustling.
Yeah. I didn't have a chance to hustle all that much. And so, I was doing like 21, 22. I was kind of blown away by it. So, if it was just a little quieter.
Just a little bit quieter.
Just don't get I don't know what they're calling it, the Scat Pack or whatever. It's not the Scat Pack, but.
Well, when you go into the RT and then you option the tow and go package, you start to get a ton of new features that come from the upper trims. The upper performance trims come down to you.
Yeah.
So you get the active dampers, you get the performance exhaust, you get performance steering, which was awesome. It was awesome. In crosswinds, towing, it was brilliant. I didn't even know the wind was coming across the highway for a while. And so I saw the giant car dealer flags, just pointing directly across the highway. Really, really good and unexpected. So there's a lot that comes down to you in this package that is worth it. I would love an active exhaust. I would love to have the button like you get on a Ford Mustang or whatever, like quiet mode, for the neighborhood or just for my sanity.
Yeah. Or I had picked up the kids a couple times at school, and that was
You getting some looks?
I got some looks for sure.
Yeah, you had a couple dads that are like, and
Yeah. It's not for me.
Not for you.
No.
Well, that's the Dodge Durango RT, the 20th anniversary, 2025. It's still there. You can still get a 3-row SUV with a V8. Be happy. I think we're going to see more of this. I really do.
Yeah,
I think if Dodge could flip a button tomorrow and they could put that 5.7 liter back into a lot of products, they would. Unfortunately, they can't. They can't. It's going to take a little time if that's what they want to do. We will see. They may be past the point of no return. And that's going to be a future episode because this week we're going to talk a lot about Jeep and Dodge.
Yeah.
Because it's a big week for them, Chicago Auto Show and the Super Bowl. And I think they're about to unveil a ton of new product. So, good transition. I'm glad Dodge let us have this. Thank you to the team. It was awesome.
Yeah, thank you very much. And if you guys want to get some of those episodes he was just talking about that are coming up, please subscribe to the channel.
You can even become a member of the channel.
Yeah.
We'd appreciate that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
You could buy some shirts. You could buy some mugs.
Mugs.
We're just shilling products left and right.
Heck yeah.
Help us out. All right, let's cut this thing off. You need to recoup the awkward wave from my wife who stole it from you in this episode.
Ooh, no.
Yeah.
No, trademark.
Okay. Awkward wave.